guys.
Hey guys.
Welcome to episode 4 of the Abs Life podcast. Super excited about this. This is so fun.
Yeah, it's another good week for us to talk to you guys.
Got a lot of good feedback, so technically recording this is episode 4, but you guys have only seen episode 1. So we got a lot of good feedback this week. A lot of people saying that they were super excited and that it was exactly what they were looking for. Just a real conversation on building a life, building a business, spirituality, things like that. So that's super validating for us. Thank you for the feedback. Super appreciative.
And the questions that we will address today.
We got some awesome questions this week. This is also now, week 3 in California?
Yeah, it's been 3 weeks since we left Tampa, so...
It's crazy.
I think, were we driving the first week? I think most of the first week we were driving. We left the 16th. So.
Yeah, March 16th we started the journey, and today is April 11th. Yeah, April 11th. You guys will get this a little bit later, but so we're coming up on a month of officially being out of Tampa, which is super exciting.
Yeah, crazy. Wow. I can't believe it seems like it was much longer ago when we left.
It does feel a lot longer ago. It feels like it's been maybe 3 months or so, but I think that that's actually a good thing. I think that's validating because it doesn't feel super awkward and uncomfortable anymore. Where the first week or so you're like, where do you go to the grocery store? Where do you go to the gym? Where do you eat food? And now it just feels like we're in more of a routine and a rhythm.
Yeah, you're not trying to eat out every day and see everything and exhaust yourself because you think you're on vacation. You can actually calm down and be like, wait a minute. It's okay to stay in tonight. It's okay to chill.
It's okay to watch
I'm not going
movies.
anywhere this week, yeah.
Watch Wheel of Fortune. That's been the nightly routine.
Yeah, well, we kind of grew up doing that, so that's sort of our thing.
Super
playing
cheesy.
Wheel of Fortune together. I know, old people, but
I mean, I don't mind it. Bear loves all the attention he's getting now at home.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, gosh, I spent the last, I did a 5-day water fast this past week.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I didn't eat for 5 days. I literally just drank water. So Bear got a lot of attention for that, so I'm sure we'll talk about that. I can explain what I learned and what I experienced in the water fast.
Yeah, well, okay, so let's just dive right in.
Okay.
Why did you do a 5-day water fast? This, by the way, 1, this was not a weight loss thing, and 2, this was super random. Just, I came home one day and he was like, I'm not eating, I'm just drinking water, and I was like, okay, well.
Yeah. I've done a 3-day water fast before, not voluntarily. I had gotten sick a long time ago. Actually, I was living in Italy at the time on a study abroad, and I had gotten sick from this raw fruit that I was eating that had something in it. And the medicine system over there, in the hospital, I went to the hospital for it, and the way they treated it was to just put me on a water fast for 3 days, and then afterwards, I just slowly got reintroduced to food and took some probiotics. There were no chemicals, there were no antibiotics, there were nothing. That's how they treated it, and it completely cleared up like that. So,
Well, so explain, because it was interesting to me when you explained it of why they make you not eat anything when you're trying to heal from something, because you were explaining the energy of where your body goes.
Yeah, so the idea is that your body has to work every day that you eat to break down the food that you're putting into your system. So whenever you no longer do that, you're no longer giving it that project to work on. It basically has the free time and space to focus on all of the other little things that might need attention in your body. So if you have an infection or something like that, rather than having to focus on filtering everything that you're eating and consuming and ingesting, it gets to focus on the things in your body that might need clearing, and your immune system gets a huge boost from it. So short water fasts are really beneficial from all the research that I had done, and I knew from personal experience how beneficial it was for me to do it. So I started going into this one of just wanting to do a 3-day one because I had a little bit of a sinus infection that I was trying to get rid of, and I didn't want to take antibiotics for it or anything. So I ended up going 5 days on it, actually, instead of the 3, and just keep it going. So.
And how are you feeling?
I feel good. The quick summary of it, if you're thinking of going on one yourself. The first day, I wasn't eating horribly before, and from what I understand, if you're not a great eater, the first couple days can be rough because your body's adjusting so much. I did not have such a rough time adjusting the first couple days. You also have to make sure you rest a lot and you drink the cleanest water you can find, which for me, there's so much stuff up there that's like, don't drink distilled water, but only drink distilled water, or don't drink spring. So anyways, I made my little combination of spring water and distilled water and just drink that. And you stay hydrated, you drink 2 gallons of water a day, and you rest as much as you can. And I actually felt really, really great. By day, and I slept totally fine. By day 3, I think, it was I felt something click over in my body, and I just felt great. I felt really, really good on day 3. If I was going to do another one, I would just stick to a 3-day one. Day 3, I felt great, and I felt very mentally clear a lot of times. I felt very present in my body. I felt very, I was explaining this to you, of how I felt incredibly affectionate towards my body and appreciative of it. Because in a way, it's almost like you get very, very in tune with your body, and you listen to it, and you're able to sort of appreciate it more and how good it is at doing what it does.
Yeah.
And whenever you stop sort of, almost like our eating and stuff like that, when we're doing all this stuff, we're constantly telling our body what to do and micromanaging it. And doing the water fast was sort of just being like, all right, I'm not controlling you anymore. Here it is. Now it's your job to do what you need to do. And in a way, to see that your body still knows how to take care of itself and protect itself was really, really, I don't know, enlightening of just that, how intelligent the system is, that there's something really intelligent running this without you needing to.
Yeah, you don't have to manipulate it.
Yeah, and if you just kind of step out of the way, it takes care of itself, and it does a great job at it. So in a way, it makes you feel really appreciative of your body, and I felt really affectionate towards it and confident in my body and what it could do.
I think too, like, that goes to, because a lot of people ask, like, when you're trying to do weight loss or fitness or nutrition or health or some new fast and cleanse and things like that, because one of the things you had said was you're no longer like micromanaging it so much, and you're just letting that natural intelligence of your body take over. I think that that's like finding a balance too, which we'll get into later with the fitness and nutrition question that came in, but not getting so caught up in like micromanaging every little piece of food, every little piece of workout. It's really like listening to your body and asking it, like, what do you need today? Do you need rest? Do you need sunshine and to be outside and go for a hike to clear your mind? Do you need to throw around weights? Do you need to play tennis? Like, it's really getting in touch and listening food wise too, because sometimes it's, no, I'm really craving potatoes. And then you find out, well, you're craving potatoes because the carbohydrates and the salt and the potassium and the things that are in that, you're depleted in. Or like lately I've been craving salmon, and I'm sure it has something to do with the omegas and the things that my body needs. But I think that's the important thing to remember is, like, he didn't do this, you didn't do this like for just some fad thing. Like, it was actually...
No, this wasn't like a weight loss thing or anything like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, going off to what you said, it's just absolutely incredible how much time we spend in our lives normally just sort of like dictating our body, telling it what to do, and constantly controlling it like that.
How to look,
and
how
when
to
you
be.
take a step back, and you just let the body do its thing, and how good it is at doing what it does was just incredible. I mean, it's the same idea of, like, you know, if you're a woman and you're pregnant or something like that, like, your body is that intelligent that it can do that. And I guess for me, doing this water fast, you kind of realize, like, even if you have, like, some soreness or something, you feel a little, like, it's almost like you feel a little bit of soreness there or something like that, and it's your body that's sort of just, like, putting its attention on it, and then the next day you wake up and it's, like, gone. Like, it's almost like you can feel like there's something in your body that's going through and be like, let me clean up here, let me clean up here, let me clean up here. It's a really cool experience. If you've never done one, it's awesome. And the mental clarity you get from it. I will say, the first day coming out of the cleanse is a little tricky, because you want to sometimes just jump into going back to your normal life, and your body just can't. You still have to rest.
That was yesterday, right?
Yeah, that was yesterday. And you have to rest getting out of it and give your body time to adjust and stuff. So just being really easy and gentle with your body. But I think what it does is it builds this sense of communication with your body. Like, I feel like I know how to team up with my body now and engage with it and really listen to it in a way that I hadn't before.
The funny thing about it too is, as he started that, he was on Chelsea Handler's Snapchat.
Yeah.
And so he was like, Chelsea Handler started a fast. Apparently she does this fast once a year, but we were laughing because yesterday on her story, she's like, her intention was to make it 5 days. And she broke her fast on day 4, and her whole thing was that, well, I went to my best friend's house and she made me green beans and a turkey burger, and I had a drink or 7. And I knew if I was going to have alcohol, I needed something in my stomach. But so she did a 4-day fast.
It's funny because I totally get that, because I felt like the night of day 4 is when I started to feel like, okay, how much longer should I do this?
Yeah.
So if I was going to do it again, I would do 3 days, maybe 3.5, 4. But if you're doing it, do some research. There's a lot of positive benefits about it online and stuff, and there's a lot of great info about it. And I'm an advocate for it. I think it was a great experience.
In the meantime, I was trying out all the new restaurants and wineries here in Santa Barbara.
I'm like, go without me. I can't.
He's like, go to all the fancy places you want to try that you know I'm not going to want to go to. Because I love going to like these super like exclusive wine places and Italian restaurants and like talking to the chefs and the owners. And so I was like, all right, tonight I'm going to try out this Italian restaurant, which I think it was called Convivo or something. It was pretty good. The great thing about being here in Santa Barbara is there was even a farmer's market yesterday. The food is so fresh. Like everything, even when you go out to eat, is locally sourced. So the menus, like the house salad, all it said, there was no description other than Santa Barbara Market. And I mean, it's because whatever is at the market that weekend is what they put in your salad. And then same thing, I went to, if anybody is in Santa Barbara, there's this wine place here called Potec, I think that's what I said. The best Syrah I have ever had. If you're somebody that likes like big, bold reds, it is hand-picked. It is only 10 cases produced. It's local here. It's, oh my gosh, it's delicious. It's amazing. Potec Syrah. I sent this to some of my wine friends too because I was like, have you had this? It's expensive. It's like $60 a bottle. But I mean, oh my gosh, you will
Worth it.
You will not regret it. I think it was called Kensington, because there's 3 different vineyards that it comes from. There's one that's like, it starts with a T. I don't remember what it was. And then there was one, I think it was Kensington or Kenzie. Yeah, you don't know.
I don't know.
He's like,
She's looking at me. I
don't
don't really
know.
drink wine. So.
I think it was like Kensington Syrah or something along those lines. I posted this on Instagram because I did like a little walkthrough of the winery and everything. So good, and so many people, some of the questions that I got was about sommelier and WSET and that wine school and all of that, and so I was like, if you're in Santa Barbara, go here. Also, I learned, I have not been yet, but I do want to go here, is there's a place in the Funk Zone, which is this super cool hipster,
Artsy,
food, wine, breweries, distilleries out here. There's a place called the River Bench, which is only female winemakers, that they all just created this little place of like estate grown wines from Santa Barbara. So I'm super excited to try those out. But anyways, so he was doing his fast and I was like, oh my God, I tried this restaurant and this pizza for happy hour was amazing and this salad. And he's just like, Ashley, stop. Like, just go do whatever you need to do.
Oh my gosh. And another thing, we never really had cable where we lived before. We just used Netflix and streaming services
like Hulu,
and stuff. So where we are now, there is cable. I cannot believe how many commercials are about food. I was like chilling out and I was like, I'm just gonna watch some TV and relax, and keep my body mellow so it can do what it needs to do. Every commercial is just like pizza, burger. It's just like every greasy junk food you can think of on TV, and I was just like, I can't do this. I can't watch this.
It's not even good food. That's what was getting humorous, is like the stuff that was making him just like so desperate for that food. I was like, it's Burger King's hamburger. It's not normally
stuff that I crave. It was just my body was like food.
Naked and Afraid though pulled him through. Naked and Afraid.
Oh my gosh, this episode of this girl that was such a badass on there. She was amazing.
Well, so the short version is this girl did a 14-day. So Naked and Afraid is where I'm sure most people know, but it's 21 days. You get dropped off in the middle of nowhere. No food, no water, nothing. You get one thing of either. Most people take like a machete and a pot to boil hot water, and you're naked with a stranger, and you have to survive 21 days. Well, this girl, she did it for 14 days in South Africa or something like that, and her partner bailed on her. So like they can tap out.
Like day 5, tapped out.
Yeah, they can leave and just be like, I can't do it anymore. So she did it the first time, and her partner bailed on her, and it's always a guy and a girl most of the time. And so she did it again, this one episode we're watching, and they got dropped off in the bayou
Mississippi
in
Bayou.
Mississippi. Ugh.
Swamp.
Oh my God, it looked terrible. I'm sorry if you're from Mississippi. It looked terrible. But her partner tapped out on her again. This guy that's like a former
like
Marine
day 4, day 5
or something like that. Yeah. Man. So,
and she stayed in there and she did the full 21 days. This girl was so awesome on there.
She was like, it's
so inspiring.
Pouring rain for like 3 days straight. She's curled up in a ball, naked, under this little like, I don't know, just pile of leaves, basically.
Branches, yeah.
No food, no water. Her partner just totally was like, all right, peace out, I can't do it. And she pulled through for 21 days. So we were talking about, I was like,
awesome.
Michael, if she can make it, you can make it on your 5-day fast.
It really was inspiring watching her. Yeah, she was really cool.
Okay, so speaking of that,
Questions.
one of the questions that came in, now that we've totally caught up, I'm looking, if you're watching this, I'm looking on my Instagram because that's where all the questions came in. And to lead into that, if you do have a question, at Ashley Drummonds,
At Michael Drummonds.
send it on Instagram, we get it. But I got one this week that was about food and nutrition from Patty, who is subscribed now, so she's going to get this answer. But it says, fitness nutrition question. So I've joined our local fitness gym in town. I found myself working out without having breakfast or a smoothie. Is that a no-no? We'll find out. I'm usually in the gym from 5:30 a.m. to 6:45 a.m. I do have a smoothie when I'm finished. It's very overwhelming when you see so many pre- and post-workout smoothies, what to eat, what not to eat. Please help. Okay, so this question comes in a lot, and I would say that this kind of goes back to the beginning of how we even started this podcast with, because technically Michael did a 5-day fast that you rest, you're not supposed to work out. And also when I do the talks with Kendall, we get questions like this too. You really have to listen to your body on this. So Patty, here's the thing, is if I got up to work out at 5:30 a.m. and do the type of workouts like strength training and metabolic conditioning and things like I was just doing, I could not do that on an empty stomach without feeling like I was either going to pass out, throw up, or like just totally destroy my body. However, if I woke up at 5:30 a.m. and I was doing yoga or calisthenics or stretching wise, it's a little less intense. You don't really quite need as much. But I mean, I always tell people when they ask about nutrition type stuff is you have to listen to your body. So the best way to do this is to really take the time to get a journal, keep track of what you're eating. And I've done this for myself, and you learn over the years what works and doesn't work. Some people work out great fasted. Some people can't work out fasted because it makes them nauseous. But so play around with it a little bit. One day when you're in the gym, do your smoothie before, track how your workout is. So for example, when I say tracking, like when you're doing your workout, do you feel energized? Do you feel strong? Do you feel mentally focused and clear? Or do you feel heavy and lethargic and like it's just taking everything in you to get through it? Because sometimes that happens too. That happens to me a lot, is if I eat a meal right before, 30 minutes before a workout, I'm not as fast, I'm not as focused because my body, going back to the fast. Oh, and there goes my eraser. Because my body's so focused on digesting the food that it's not focused on giving me the energy to get through the workout. So it really depends. So take your time on that and do that for about a week or so and just journal out, okay, today I had my smoothie at 5 o'clock. I worked out at 5:30. This is how my performance was in my workout. And then the next week, do the opposite. Don't have your smoothie first. Have it after. Go into the workout fasted. Try out the exact same stuff, write it out, and then see which one made me feel better. Which one did I have the most energy through? Did I have a total crash afterwards, or did I feel more energetic? So I would definitely say keep track of that. I tell everybody not to follow too much of what to eat, what not to eat, pre and post workout, because honestly, and this goes to like everything in life, you guys, like the stories, the things that people share, that we share, that everything you see on social media shares, they're sharing with you what works for them. They're sharing with you the journey that they took to get to where they are. So you have to take the time to invest in yourself to decide if pre-workout smoothies work for you or if they don't work for you. They don't work for me.
And I have a story to add to that too, of how important it is to really sort of partner up with your body and listen to it and become its biggest teammate, and how smart your body actually is.
Yeah.
I went 100% vegan about a year ago, and I did it because I thought it was like a spiritual thing to do. I thought it was sort of where everyone's headed, and it's good, better for your body and all that kind of stuff like that. About 8 months into it, I got really sick, and I felt like my adrenal glands were getting depleted, and I felt like no energy, and just I remember sleeping for almost an entire weekend out of nowhere. It just hit me. I got really faint one day and stuff like that. I thought I was following what I was supposed to be doing, but in the sake of betraying my body, I wasn't listening to what my body actually needed, because I played tennis like 15, 20 hours a week. I'm constantly going. I was under a lot of stress at the time. That's the other thing too. If your body is like at rest or something like that, then great. Maybe that stuff works great. Or fasting works great if you're sitting on the couch all day. But your body knows what it needs, and it's smart enough to know what you're going through in life to adjust to those needs as well. So so for instance, I knew that I needed a little bit of fish or meat or something like that when I was going through a lot of high stress situations, but I did not listen to my body when I did that, because for the sake of being vegan, because I felt like, oh, I have to be on this diet, this is what I'm supposed to do, and I got really sick from it. If I had listened to my body, maybe I would have had the energy to do it. And actually, I stopped being 100% vegan and started incorporating more meat and stuff, and my energy level started to come back, and my body started to heal more and more. So if that's an example for you of listen to your body, it is so smart, and it is trying to help you the best that it possibly can. Don't do something just for the sake of doing it or because you think it's right or wrong. Really, really get in tune with yourself and your body.
Yeah, and I mean, it's important too that I think you're flexible as time goes on, because I think what your body needs at 20 is totally different than 30, 40, 50, 60 years old. And it's being flexible with life, just really going through that journey. Like he's saying, you're partnering with your body, knowing that you're not going to do the same things for the rest of your life. And sometimes the same workouts don't even work anymore. And the episode 2 with the interview with Kat Leone, who's a CrossFit athlete, even she was saying that at the start of your journey, you're taught so much of like to be so rigid of, this is what I'm eating, this is what I have to work out today, these are the exact exercises, but sometimes your body can't give you that day. Some days you wake up and your body's like, come on, like you're putting so much stress on me in this area, like I can't give you that today. And it's being in a partnership so that you listen to your body of like, okay, what can you give me? I can give you a 30-minute walk. I can't give you a 30-minute crazy workout. And it's like, okay, that's what we're going to do today then. So to Patty, I would say be flexible, because too, maybe one day you wake up and you're starving and you're like, well, fasting doesn't work today. Like I need something or else I feel like I'm going to be nauseous. And just don't be so set on one specific thing has to work every single day. And I mean, that's why I don't do meal plans for people anymore. Everybody wants a like structured, like, can you just write me a meal plan? And I said, no, I can coach you on how you can listen to your body and eat intuitively, because everybody's different. Everybody has different needs. Everybody's bodies are totally different. So definitely take the time, invest yourself. And if anybody tries to sell you on like a quick, like, this is a 7-day fat loss diet, you'll have the best body in the world, don't do it. Don't do the fad diets. Don't do the overnight success gimmicks. Like, none of that is healthy. None of it works, and it's going to make you super frustrated.
Yeah, and it's super important to feel good about what you're eating and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because how you feel about the food you're ingesting has an effect on you chemically. So if you're ingesting something and you feel awful about it, your body's triggering all these cells in your brain that this is awful for me.
Yeah.
So if you're eating something that you feel good about eating, your body's taking it as if it's like this brilliant medicine that it's taking into its system here. So make sure that you feel really good about what you're consuming, mentally as well.
What's so interesting about that is when I was in Tuscany and I did that 10-day cooking school, that was something like Italians firmly believe in. And the chef pointed out of the energy, like food is energy. It's it's a living thing that when you pull it out of the earth, you're cooking it, like you need to treat it as a living thing, not this thing that you just abuse and do, like cook the crap out of it. But so one of the things she had said is, if you're in a bitter place, if you're in an angry place, whatever your energy is, do you ever notice that your food tastes different? Where when you're like elated and inspired and experiencing all these things, you're like, oh my God, this is the best food ever. But when you're stressed and frustrated, so I mean, to add to what Michael's saying, like, yeah, definitely pay attention to your thoughts and your perspective on the food that you're putting into your mouth. And it's the same thing with everything else. Like, I think Mike Dooley talks about this a lot too, of your body responds to the thoughts that you give to it. So if you go into the grocery store and you're buying a bunch of diet food and fat-free, you're conditioning your body to believe that it's fat. You're conditioning it to like, oh, she's giving me fat-free food, therefore I am fat. Where if you trust the natural process and the intelligence of your body of, I'm giving it whole foods and healthy foods, and it knows what to do with this. It knows how to balance out the weight. It knows how to balance out everything. Your body responds in that way as well.
Mm-hmm. Anita Marjani talks about that a lot too. If you don't know Anita Marjani, her story is she got stage 4 lymphoma and died and had a near-death experience and came back and healed very rapidly within like a week or so. But she talks about how when she first got diagnosed, she got so scared about her diet all the time, and she ended up switching to just raw vegan all the time, and she was just so afraid of the illness and stuff and messing up, and she still got sick anyways. And she realized after coming back from that and healing from that it's because of how she felt. She was so afraid all the time, so she was just ingesting fear basically all the time, and how important it is to feel good about it and feel good about yourself and what you're eating, and how your whole body will react chemically to that.
This is becoming a very in-depth answer to a question about fitness and nutrition.
Basically, I love the phrase you use though, intuitive eating. Follow your intuition when it comes to your food as well.
Yes. Your body knows what it needs. And there was a girl she was doing like actual one-on-one coaching with me, and she was talking about how she was supposed to get a certain amount of protein in. She's like, Ashley, I know I'm supposed to get 1 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight, but I just can't get above 120 grams of protein a day. Like, I feel sick. And I'm like, then don't do it. Like, don't listen just because somebody told you to do that. If you're doing that and you're physically making yourself sick and it does not feel right or good at all, don't do it. Like, listen, if that's too much food, listen to your body, eat what does feel right and what does feel good, and your body's going to perform and adjust and balance itself out the way it needs to. So
yeah, your body is so smart. Like, we think we can figure it out logically, but you can't logically figure out how to like grow a baby inside of you. Like, you have to just trust that your body is that smart, and so listen to it and what it needs.
Okay, so we have another question.
Another one, fire away.
This is not about fitness or nutrition. This one is actually related to building a brand and building a business. And the question is, how do I know which idea to go with? I have so many ideas. I have so many things I want to do. And again, the 2 girls I talked to last week, but I have so many things I want to do. I want to do a cookbook, and I want to do recipes, but I also want to do in-person events. And how do I know which one to run with and which one to let go?
Yeah, I really connect with this message. I'm going to let you answer first because I've asked you this question many times before. I have a very creative mind too, and I like a lot of creative ideas, and I think, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this. We talked about this too. I envy sometimes the people who are just like, I knew what I wanted to do when I was born, and that's what I did my entire life, and I became the best at it, whatever. That's not me. And I feel like sometimes I just go in circles because I just want to do so many things. There's so many things that sound exciting and fun. And if you have a lot of creative ideas going, how do you pick which one?
I think there's a lot to respond to with this, because when I started the pancakes, when I started the Abs Protein pancakes, prior to that, I was struggling to make progress because in my mind it was, but I want to do fitness. I want to help people with their workouts, but I also want to have this brand that is all online and automated, but I also want to do wine, and I also want to do music, and there's a lot going on. And I wish I could remember who the person was that said this, but it was basically, going back to wine, it's the analogy of the grapes. So in wine, they do the pruning process. At the end of each season, they go through the different buds and the spurs, and they cut off the ones. They look at which ones produce the most buds. So it's like a flower. Which one is producing, you have like, to give you a visual, if you're watching, I'm kind of like making hand motions. It's if you had this long stick, and you have all these different like buds coming out at the end of each harvest season, after they've made the wine for that season, they literally will cut off like 75% of all of that, which at first it's like taking a rose bush and cutting off like all of them but 2, and you're like, why would you do that? That's so much. And the whole thing behind it, and I told him, I was like, who knew wine had so much like life lessons in it? They cut it off and they only leave usually like 1 or 2 of the best producing ones that happened the previous season. So the ones that look like they're about to just like produce such good grapes and so much just like fruit and all these things. And the reason being is because you have to cut off what's taking up energy so that that energy is redirected into what's producing the best thing. It's the same thing with your ideas, is when you think of, okay, so if I have this idea, and I'm only using my example just because I don't know specifically what everybody else's ideas are. So if you have the idea of like fitness and pancakes and live events and cooking and wine and all this stuff, what is taking the most of your energy, and where can you not cut it off? You're not saying no to that idea. You're just saying no to putting energy into it right now so that something can take off.
So you're just putting it in the drawer. Sorry, Darby.
Yeah, I always say, I'm like, you just keep that one in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, boom, there's my ace of spade. Because then what happens is, it's not, I think a lot of people have the fear of, if I choose one, then it means I'm saying no to all these other ones, and that's not the case. You're choosing one so that something can start to grow, something can start to take off, and then as that starts to build and become a little more sustainable, then you can add on like, oh yeah, and I've always wanted to do this, and I've always wanted to do this. But otherwise, if you don't pick something, you're constantly going to be spinning in circles and you're never going to make progress. You're going to look back for 5 years and be like, how come nothing's growing? Well, because your energy is dispersed in so many different areas. And think of it like this. I found this helpful. I don't know if this will be helpful for you. You're on Bumble, you're on Tinder, you're on Match.com. You're kind of serial dating, like, we'll say 3. 3's manageable. You're going on dates. There's 3 different people you're interested in. There's 3 different people that you're like, but he's kind of fun, and this guy's really committed, and this guy's super ambitious, or girl, whatever it is. And you're going on all these dates. None of that can turn into the lifelong partnership of your dreams if you don't make a choice at one. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those things like, yeah, that's great, and they're all good ideas, and they're all great prospects. But they're always just going to be, this is like, it's kind of like, this is as far as that can go if you don't make a choice. That was super helpful for me. I don't know if that helps anybody else, but it just made sense to me of like, oh yeah, well, I guess if your energy is going in so many different ways, how can anything actually grow into this big idea or this big dream that you have?
Yeah, no, I think that's really good. I think seeing it, for me anyway, seeing it through an energy lens of just sort of, how much energy are you investing and what are you investing it in? And if you want something to really take off and grow, that's where you have to direct it and not try to just spread it all out everywhere. You use that grape analogy a lot, and I always get that visual too. That's a really good one of just, stick with the cream on the top. Don't try to take the whole thing with you.
And I also think it's important to, again, listening to yourself, move in the direction of what excites you the most. Like, obviously you're excited about all the ideas, but what is the idea that you spend the most time thinking about? It consumes most of your energy, but you're not getting paid for it. Like, that's when you know you have something that's worth pursuing, is when it lights you up. You can do it all the time. It doesn't burn you out, but at the same time, nobody's paying you now to do it. So therefore, you know it's something that you can sustain, because when you're doing it to build a business or when you're doing it to build a brand, if you pick the idea just for the sake of picking it, but you don't have that passion and that fire in you, you're going to fail so fast. Like, I hate to say that, but because otherwise, that's the only thing that keeps you going, is that it matters to you more about what you're doing, the energy you're putting into it. The money is a result of it, but the money is so, in entrepreneurship, it's so up and down that if every time like you have a low month, that's the only thing you're doing it for, you're going to totally burn out. You're going to lose interest. And then you're going to hate what used to be a passion, because now you're just like, well, God, now like the money is so spotty. And Marie Forleo talks about this too. When she started her life coaching business, she was a full-time bartender. And it's because when she first started her business, she was so passionate about being a life coach. She wanted to make sure that she was helping people because she wanted to help them, and she was passionate, not because she needed their money. She wanted to make sure she had her focus on her, like, why she even started it to begin with. So that's what I would say too, is like, I think there's a lot of things people think you can't have like this side thing going, but I think it's kind of smart, if you're figuring it out, to have something that gives you security and a little bit of grounding while building something. That way you can test it out, you can feel it out.
It helps you keep the authenticity too when you do that, because you're not selling yourself out to anything. You're not desperate, and you're not doing it from a place of like, I need this, you know, or salesy or something. You're really coming from a place of passion, and people feel that passion, because that's like anyone who's been in sales, that's like the number one thing, is you're selling your passion and your enthusiasm. So if you're not enthusiastic about it, then what do you have? No one's gonna buy it anyways.
Yeah, and I mean, like, starting the pancakes, he remembers this because we were living together in the tiny little apartment in Tampa. I had a full client list of personal training clients. I was still getting up at 5 a.m. every day, training my clients. Any break that I had, I was doing the computer side of the business. And then at night, every night after my clients were done, I was mixing pancakes and handling orders. Like, I did that for probably 6 months or so, maybe, before like having fulfillment manufacturing. But it keeps you going. It keeps you able to just put passion into that without the desperateness of like, all right, well, I'm going full time into this. I guess this is all, and hopefully it works out. And please hire me because I need your money so bad.
Yeah,
like
you gotta believe in it.
Yeah.
Especially because you're gonna come against so many obstacles anyways on the journey that a lot of times you're gonna feel like you have to defend it and fight for it anyways. So you have to believe in it just as much so that what you say is your truth about it, and because everyone else is gonna have their questions about it, you know. So if you don't believe in it, nobody else will. So
yeah, I mean, that would be my advice. Follow the path of enthusiasm.
Yeah, follow your bliss. I know that's cliche, but
an inspiration. Okay, so then on that note, because I know you are starting your own brands and you're doing your own things, and that's where a lot of the listeners and viewers are right now. What we've kind of, I mean, that was a lot of, what is it with where you are at that you feel like is the biggest challenge?
Managing all of the different streams of media that there are. So providing content for like a blog and all the social media accounts and a website, and constantly putting out content to me feels like a lot. And a little bit of a distraction. Because, yeah, it seems like a lot. Because it feels like I'm focusing, when I do that, it feels like I'm focusing more on quantity rather than quality. Just trying to do the morning and night repetition of posting stuff to build the customer base. Whereas I would rather, for me personally, with like my courses and stuff, focus and centering as much energy as I can on creating an awesome course of content. So is it because I'm trying to do both at the same time, and maybe I should do one first and then build followers, or?
That is the part that I think a lot of people forget or they don't know is part of building a brand. You have to do both at the same time, and it is super stressful and overwhelming because you have to almost like compartmentalize, and this is why I'm old school. I write everything down. You're building a course, or you're building your product, or you're building your service. But in the meantime, you have to also consistently put out that content, and you have to be engaged with your audience, because when that course is done, those are the people that are going to want to sign up. Those are the people that you're helping. That is your target audience. So it's kind of catch-22, because I understand it is hard when you're first starting out and you're like Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Snapchat and all these things, yeah, but I think it's also important that you focus on where your audience is at. And so, like, I used to get super overwhelmed with this too, because my Instagram is totally different than my Facebook. But when you do, and this is a whole other topic, when you do your avatar, you do your ideal audience, you figure out who is my person, who is the person, and always narrow it down to one person, because if you're trying to blast out content to help everybody, you will get overwhelmed. But when you get really clear on who it is you're wanting to help, you're also going to get really clear on where are they hanging out at. Are they on Instagram? Do they watch YouTube videos? Do they listen to podcasts? Are they on Twitter? Are they on Snapchat? My audience that I usually connect with is mostly Instagram, podcast, and YouTube. Like Facebook here and there, Twitter here and there. I'm not as engaged on there. So once you kind of start to feel out where are people commenting the most, where are they sharing and tagging the most, it becomes a lot easier and more manageable. And then going back to the grapevine analogy, you don't put so much energy into all those other things, because your audience now knows where to find you. They know where you're most connected, and you just kind of format that out. So like, then it's just Instagram, or then it's just Facebook, and then it's just YouTube. And I know a lot of the big players like Marie Forleo, they talk about this, and that's why she built her whole brand starting out on YouTube, because she realized at that time, when I think it's been 15 years since she started her brand, but when she started it, like, everybody was doing YouTube. That was the place to be. That was a video place to be. And so she started her brand off that. But she'll even tell you, like, she doesn't spend a ton of time on Facebook and Instagram and all that now. She's building it, but it's not her bread and butter. So I would say, think of that. Like, who is your ideal person? If your ideal person was, well, for fitness, most people are on Instagram just video, picture. Same thing with wine, same thing with business. Like, that's just my ideal audience. So when you get overwhelmed, maybe just kind of cut off those vines that aren't producing good grapes and focus on where you are getting the most traction and the more engagement. But with regards to going back to building out your course and product, yeah, in the beginning it's a lot, and you kind of have to do all of it at the same time, and sometimes it's super stressful. But I think the easiest way to manage it too is to keep in mind that it's temporary. You're not always going to be building out that product and managing 5 different social media accounts. Right now you're just figuring it out, and it's going to eventually it's going to naturally fall into its own rhythm and its own flow.
Yeah. And I think too, going back to what you said, we've had some conversation about this, so maybe you want to talk more about it. The figuring out who your audience is, of narrowing it down. Because before I would say something like, "Oh, it's this genre of people," and you'd be like, "No, more specific."
Yeah.
Oh, well, they're this. No, more specific, and narrowing it down to that specific person, and now you're just talking directly to that person.
Yeah, and it's way less overwhelming, because at first, like, you don't know how to write copy, and copy, if you're listening or watching, copy is just the text, like, on a post. It's just something, what you're writing on Facebook or what you're typing on Instagram or what, that is called copy. Your copy is going to be super generic until you get really clear. But so figuring out who your ideal person is, who your avatar, who that like one person is that you want to help, you have to first get super clear on your story. Who are you? What have you been through? What is the experience that totally turned your life around? And I was explaining to him, think of that time in your life. So if your product is fitness, and I only use fitness just because it's simple and there's so many of it out there. If your product is fitness, you've lost 10 pounds and it totally transformed your life. Now you're confident. Now you feel beautiful or strong or fit, and now you're doing other things in your life. So now you want to help more people get fit. You can't write copy and text to the person that you are now.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is so many people, when they're starting their brand and they're writing out text and copy, they're writing it to the person they are now. But the problem is, the reason you're doing your product or service, the reason you even started it out, is that you want to help the person that you were. You want to help that guy or girl when you were at rock bottom. You want to connect with them there, and then take them through the journey and the process that you've gone through, so that then they can connect with you now. Where a lot of times people create stuff and they're like, I don't understand why nobody's engaging. Well, because you're engaging with you now. It requires you going back in your journey, back in your story of, how did I feel in that moment? How did I feel when I was overweight? How did I feel when I was broke? How did I feel when whatever that was? Then once you have that, you narrow it down even more. Okay, so I want to help people who are young women. Okay, how young? Are they married? Are they single? Do they have kids? Do they not have kids? Are they broke, or do they have money? Like, you have to get clear, because then it becomes so easy to come up with content, because you're talking to that person all the time. You're talking to, and I mean, I don't think a lot of people talk about how you have to name them with specifically where they live. I don't think it's that important as you craft your story, your person. And so, like, you and I have talked about how you like helping creatives, like helping people have a creative outlet under the age of 30, 35, like, because think about that. The more you get clear on that, it's so simple of just being, so if I use my story of, I like helping women who are under the age of 35 who want to create financial freedom and independence, so that, and this was something, the so that is like, it's like your, what is it in a joke? What's it called? Your
punchline?
Yes. I want to help blah, 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 fill in the blank, so that, because what comes after that is where you're going to connect emotionally with your target audience. I want to help people who need a creative outlet, or I want to help women build financial independence so that they never have to be in an abusive relationship, so that they never have to feel inferior again, so that they never have to feel isolated and alone. And because that is when they're like, oh my God, yes, like, please, I never want to feel that again. But that is what your rock bottom was, and what you're helping pull them out of. So, like, the first part of etc. help people is who you are now, so that whatever comes after that is what you went through. that's your target audience. That's how you find it. That's how you narrow it in. And I know there's the idea of like, but I just want to help everybody live happy. And I think that's great. But you're going to find that then your audience is so broad that you're not really connecting the way you want to connect with people, because then you're talking to men and women who are 60 and 20. And it's like, well, you're going through so many different life phases at that point. Like,
yeah, you kind of lose authenticity when you do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would be my feedback. And, I mean, it takes the time. Again, just people want everything so fast. I want to be successful tomorrow. And I'm sorry, no. That's like, how long did it take you to get to where you are now? It's not going to happen tomorrow. I want to lose weight tomorrow. No, it's not going to happen. So take the time to really dig deep and get emotional with your story, because the more vulnerable and emotional and authentic you are about what you've been through, the more your audience is going to trust you, the more they're going to want to work with you, the more they're going to connect with you and your brand.
Yeah, that's really good.
So that I lift weights all the time so that I can drink wine whenever I want. No.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Are there any more questions?
That is all that I got this week.
Okay.
What about you?
Those were some good questions. I'm just going back to what we were talking about of starting the whole branding. If you're new to branding yourself, or the business side of it, managing everything, coming up with the audience, what is sort of the next step you do after that of how do you connect with your audience, which is sort of the so that promise that you were talking about there. And I think another thing that you said to me that stuck with me was starting the dialogue. I was talking about, like, you know, posting Instagram posts and stuff, and you said see it sort of like you're sitting at the bar and the picture is sort of like this is what you see or whatever, but then the hook is the caption, right?
Yeah, so we actually were sitting at a bar
and
having
this
drinks.
Conversation.
Because he's read like Tim Ferriss and Gary Vaynerchuk and he's like, I'm just like trying to figure out like how do you connect with your audience? And this could have been the wine talking, but the analogy worked. I was like, all right, so we're sitting at this bar. You're a single person. Your image that you post online is like the initial attraction. Oh, like, that's a good looking person over there. Okay, that's your image. That's your initial attraction that kind of like catches somebody's attention. Your copy is you sparking that conversation with somebody. So imagine if you sat at a bar, this super attractive person who like you're initially interested in sits down next to you, hashtag nice to meet you, and walks away. Like, that's all they give you. You're like, what? No, I'm not interested. Like, I don't even understand. Like, yeah, I got the picture. I get that, but you offered me no value and no interest. So if you use that analogy, so this person sits down, they come next to you, and they're like, oh, hi, my name is Ashley. I'm a business owner. I help entrepreneurs, blah, 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 blah. I tell you all this stuff that like intrigues you, and you're like, that is a really interesting person. So now not only am I attracted to this picture or social media post, whatever it is, but what they had to say was super interesting as well. Your call to action is like leaving your number. So your call to action at the bottom, like you're already like connecting, you're saying all these things. That call to action at the bottom is, you know what? If you want to keep talking and get to know each other better, here's my number. That's it. Like, because then like you've now attracted, you've engaged and connected, you've given your call to action. The person has no reason not to call you because they're like, no, that was actually a really interesting conversation. I'm attracted to them. And now I have their number, like, let me call you and text you, and yeah, like, I want to hear more. I want to know more. It's so simple that way, because then it's like, you would never sit down next to somebody at a bar and just be like, beautiful person, hey, do you want to come home? Do you want to come to my place? What? No.
Yeah.
I don't know you at all. Like, you haven't even proven that I can trust you. So online, offline, think of your online business the same way. It's still a real person. On the other side of that. You still have to prove that you're trustworthy. You still have to give them some sort of value to keep showing up.
Yeah, and not just like, love and life, smiley.
Here's a selfie.
Why am I not getting any sales?
Why is nobody engaging? Because you're not helping or offering value or proving anything. Yeah, that drives me nuts. It also drives me nuts, and I'm not going to go on a rant, but like, coaches who are coaching people on stuff they've never done. Everybody listening and viewing, Why would you go to somebody who is broke and ask them how to be successful and make money? Why would you go to somebody who is overweight and ask them how you can get in shape? Why would you go to somebody who's never built a business and has been an employee their entire life and ask them how to build a business? Please. Please just think about that.
Yeah, let the life be the example.
Good grief. That frustrates me.
Sorry, get it out.
Get it out!
We both made rant videos on Instagram like weeks ago or months ago maybe.
That was in Tampa, yeah.
It was a while ago or something like that, and I was like, I made my first rant video the other day. And she's like, oh my gosh, I made a rant video too. On the same day we made a rant video.
It's because, like, the is inauthenticity. Yeah.
Inauthentic.
Yeah, like, it's just ridiculous. Like, be who you say you are. Be sincere. Be honest. Don't put on this facade that you've got your shit together because you don't.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it was. There was some, like, spiritual person he was talking about.
That was my rant.
We won't say who this person was, but, like, they have this huge following because they're a spiritual person. Except for it was, like, this super GQ selfie. And then it was just like, sometimes life's hard. Have a great day. And you're like...
Just in general, all the spiritual people out there who post nothing but photos of them looking absolutely miserable. I'm not going to take happiness advice from you. Or,
right.
like, passionate living if in every photo you're just, like, model pose, serious face, like, everything.
Yeah, like, trying... Yeah.
Or authentic living. Look at that. That's not authentic.
And nobody's seen you, like, not look perfect and put together.
Yeah, admit your mistakes. That's why Brene Brown, I love Brene Brown so much because she's all about the gifts of imperfection. But
be yourself. Be authentic. The authenticity, whether it's just your personal life, it's your business, it's your brain, and the whole reason this podcast is like this, like, the world needs more authentic people.
That's how you connect with people, is by sharing your journey and what you've gone through, ups and downs. And that's why, going back to what you were saying before, that was a big light bulb moment for me of when you're building your audience and stuff like that. Understand that you're not talking to them from where you are now. You're talking to them from where you were and how you became who you are now. Mm-hmm. So thinking back to, like, talking to the beginner phase of establishing that.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, you got to get comfortable with putting yourself out there. And I know that's scary. That's a really scary thing, is just, like, sharing your vulnerable story and being like, all right, well... Hopefully people don't think I'm crazy, but the good thing is the people who you want to work with are going to love you for it. The people you don't want to work with are going to judge you for it. Like, it's that you're just doing your own...
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah. Haters gonna hate. You're going to do your own weeding out process just by being you. Mm-hmm. So be you.
And you don't need those people either. The ones that are going to hate, they're just going to drag you down.
Yeah.
Just let them go.
Brush it off.
Yeah. And I would like to add one other thing that I heard. I watched a video, a YouTuber that I follow, and she made a video about what self-love looks like. And this is a little off topic, but I think it's a nice message to walk away with.
It's all off topic.
She talks about self-love, this concept of what does it look like, and stuff like that. And she talks about, for her, self-love is all about, I don't think I mentioned this in last week's podcast. She sees it as power. And so seeing the idea of self-love as constantly giving yourself power. So what things make you feel energized, enthused, powerful, and if you see it as like a currency of power almost, and what people in your life are taking away your power, what things in your life are taking away your power. The loving things are the things that are giving you power, giving it back to you.
Yeah.
And surrounding yourself with those things, of feeling that sense of empowerment, I can do this, whatever re-energizes you and stuff.
We watched Wrinkle in Time yesterday.
Oh, yes.
It's really good. It's
cheesy, but it's good.
I cried like 3 or 4 times. It got my heartstrings.
Yeah.
But in that, it just reminds me of the little girl in it where she's just so embarrassed of who she is, and she thinks her faults are like so bad. And towards the end, Reese Witherspoon, she's like, I give you the gift of your faults. She's like, what? I know what my faults are. That's why they're my faults. And she's like, do you? Anyways, I'm not going to ruin the movie, but it's a really good, it's cheesy, it's PG, it's Disney, but it's a really good movie just about self-love, being proud of who you are, your journey. So shout out to Oprah, as always.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
A Wrinkle in Time.
Oprah, we support you.
Every episode, we're just going to plug in Oprah somewhere.
She lives here. She's going to come in one day. You guys wait.
Oh gosh, yeah, stay tuned.
I'm going to be like...
Actually, we'll probably come to her. We'll be in her yard with, like, fairies coming out of the grass.
Seriously. Is this real life?
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right.
I feel like this was a super successful episode 4. Like we mentioned, if you have any questions, at Ashley Drummonds or at Michael Drummonds, these questions are exciting.
Yeah, keep sending us more questions and stuff because it gives us more to talk about in here, and it helps us get really introspective about things, of letting you know what you need help with, and also how we went through our journeys. Or I'm the perfect example too, because I'm starting mine. She has her successful already, so...
Ooh, we should do one that day, like just sharing your story and then sharing my story, like the gritty details, not like the
the
built
real
this
talk
in Tampa. Like, no, really, let's talk about it. How many times were you in a ball crying in the closet because you were scared? We'll do an episode about that. Also, a few of you guys actually did screenshot the podcast and tag on social, so thank you. Like, I got super excited about that. So if you did listen to this and you liked it, do a screenshot on your phone and then tag us, because we get a little like, woo, people love us, tag us. Yeah.
All right, guys. We will see you in the next episode.
Have a great day.
See ya.
Bye.